Have you ever been on an emotional roller coaster at work? It's not uncommon. And it begs even just the question of, do emotions belong in the workplace? Different people have different perspectives on this, but let me share mine with you. You can't avoid the emotions. Asking somebody to leave their emotions at the door is sort of the same as asking them to leave their heart at the door, their head at the door, any other piece of their being at the door. It's not really possible. That said, what people often want to avoid in the workplace is that roller coaster, that sort of guessing, who am I going to get today? Or what might I say that maybe sets somebody off? And so what we're exploring today is recognizing you can't avoid emotions. It's part of the deal when you work with people. But what you can do is manage those emotions. And so I'm going to give you a quick three-step play. If you're familiar with our intentional team player program, we use plays throughout that program to give folks ideas and skills and strategies of how to overcome different hurdles, both at home and in the workplace. And for this play, watching your footwork, it's all about when you're dealing with those emotions, which everybody does. How can you manage those emotions without necessarily getting emotional? And so here are the three steps. The first step is to notice what's going on with you. Sometimes when we're dealing with emotions, there might be this feeling like stuff it down, ignore it, put it in a box. And that can have different impact. For some people, they might be able to compartmentalize, and that's just fine. In other situations, though, and with other people, what might happen is you try to avoid those emotions, deny those emotions, and they just get stronger. And so the idea here is, in the effort to acknowledge them and to manage them, is to first just be honest about what's going on. What's happening right now? What are you feeling? What's working? What's not working? This is a level of self-awareness that doesn't have to take all day, doesn't definitely shouldn't take a week because you're gonna have new emotions multiple times throughout that time. But in that moment to pause and think, what's happening here? What are the emotions that are present? Step 2 is then to name that emotion. And there's some interesting research from Brene Brown that says on average, people can name 3 emotions. That's the average. And so try it right now if you want. Make a list of how many emotions can you name right now. What the research also shows is the more you can name the emotion, the more likely you are to manage the emotions. And chances are you experience more emotions in an hour, more than 3 emotions in an hour, much less being able to name the emotion any given day. So recognizing, and even just putting vocabulary to different emotions, that it's not just mad, sad, and glad, but what's that spectrum of mad? Thinking between, annoyed to irate. Big spectrum all in between there. Same with sad, with glad, with embarrassment, with disappointment. There's all these spectrums. And so the challenge is to be able to name that emotion, because once you can name the emotion, you can then recognize what choices that you have. There's there's always choices. So just because you're mad, you don't have to yell. Just because you're sad doesn't mean you need to shut down and withdraw. Those are certainly choices. But the choice here is thinking about, is this choice working in this situation? The behavior that you are demonstrating working, or do you need to explore some other choices? And so those are the three steps. Again, let me be clear. This is not about denying emotions, avoiding emotions, forcing a different emotion. Emotions are something you can't necessarily control. You might be able to influence the circumstances before an emotion, maybe, but sometimes emotions just happen because of different situations. We can't always control what our emotions are going to be. But what you always have control of is how you respond next. And so the more you practice this play of noticing what's going on, naming that emotion, and then choosing how you want to proceed, recognizing all those choices that you have, the more likely you're going to manage those choices effectively. Does it sound easy? Yeah, maybe it's easy, but it's not necessarily simple. It's not necessarily easy to do. It might make sense when you read it, when you hear it, but once you start to practice it, I do guarantee it does get easier. It just requires that practice. And so this is one of the things that we do with teams. This is one of a half dozen plays that we share within our thoughtfully fit model within our program, The Intentional Team Player. So if that's something that you are interested in learning more about, either for yourself, for your team, for your organization, don't hesitate to reach out. We love working with teams in that way. In the meantime, watch your own footwork. See what you can do to notice what's going on, naming that emotion, and then choose how you want to proceed. Have a great day.